Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Inside the Cut. And on this episode, I'm going to be running you guys through my Breakaway Music Festival recap video. Check it out. So Breakaway Music Festival is a series of smaller festivals that go on throughout the United States, and I was able to come out to the Charlotte and the Nashville, Tennessee one to shoot. So I'm going to run you guys kind of through how the setup worked for me being able to come out, and then we'll jump into the edit. So first met Preston Abernathy, who is the director of the Charlotte event at Prime Music Festival here in Raleigh, North Carolina, where you guys have seen the recap for that one. Snyder played on the main stage there and was able to get connected with him to come out to the Charlotte Breakaway Music Festival, since the same group that runs them, and he's the director of the festival in Charlotte. So super stoked for him to make the connection, but kind of unfortunately through that I realized that I was just getting a media pass, so I wasn't going to really have any type of access outside of just being in the festival grounds in the VIP area with a camera. And since I was trying to be on stage and shoot for some of the artists, I had to reach out to some of the artists myself and be able to make that connection on my own. So I realized that Bryce Vine was actually playing at both of the shows, the Nashville and the Charlotte one. And I actually have shot for Bryce Vine over a year ago when he toured with Time Flies actually and came to Carborough, North Carolina, and just had a dialogue with his manager open from then. So I just hit him back up to say, hey, could I come out and be your shooter for this event? And they said, yeah, for sure. So that's how I was able to kind of get on stage, get backstage, and be able to kind of have some more dynamic shots than what I was just going to have with the media pass. So I was super stoked about that, because definitely just having a media pass would have been a little bit of a bummer, but at the end of the day, it's not a huge deal. It's still fun to be able to come out and do that. So was able to be with his team at the Charlotte and the Nashville show, and then was able to film some of the other artists as well, even though I couldn't be on stage with them. Was able to get in the pit a little bit at the Nashville show, and then also just got some great shots of Emoji and some other people, but you guys will see all that as we're going through it. I'm going to show you guys the recap that I did for myself. I also did a recap for Bryce Vine, which I'll probably show in another one of these Inside the Cuts, but for this one, the personal recap I did is just a little more built out and it has a lot more going on, so I thought that one would be funner to go through first. But since I wasn't doing the recap for the festival, or I wasn't really hired by anyone to do the entire recap like I did, I was really just doing it for myself and for the jebshoots brand. I was able to really do whatever I wanted with it, which I was super stoked about. So I was trying to think about a way to not only kind of make it a personal growth story, but also just to throw in kind of that classic hype edit that I'll usually do. So I wanted it to have a lot of energy, I wanted it to build, I wanted it to kind of connect with people beyond just the visuals and hopefully have that, like I said, emotional touch to it. So the first part, as with anything, is finding a good track to use, and I was on Proximity actually. Their YouTube channel is awesome. It's got a lot of the latest music, and they actually had the opener for Alenium's Awake 2.0 tour that he's on right now as one of their most recent drops. So I checked that drop out and I absolutely loved it. There's a collaboration with Excision in there, with Alenium and Excision, and the track just has so much energy. The build is super cool. Some different just instruments in there. It has a really, really cool vibe to it. So decided to use that as the track, but I honestly didn't really have enough different kinds of footage to do the full length of the song. So I cut the song up a little bit. I'll show you guys what that looks like. Essentially used the beginning of it, kind of the middle build, and then I just went straight to the drop. So you'll kind of hear the different phase here. I'll play them for you. You ever have those moments? So it goes into kind of just the low build right there, and that's when I wanted to add in a voiceover. So I was trying to think through, how to give that more personal touch to the edit and have it not just be a Breakaway Music Festival piece, but really add my own little angle to it. So I recorded a voiceover to open up the piece essentially, and I'll play that voiceover for you a little bit. Essentially, the voiceover is just kind of talking about how it's such a unique opportunity and how I've been trying to shoot a festival for so long, or at least have an opportunity to bring my camera out to a festival and work with an artist, and it just really came together really well for these 2 Breakaway events, being that I shot for Bryce Vine before, so it just kind of seemed like a really cool build in the momentum of what I'm doing. So that's what the voiceover is all about. And I recorded it on a Audio-Technica microphone plugged into a Focusrite, and then I actually just recorded it directly in GarageBand's voiceover recorder. That whole setup sounds really, really good as long as you're close up on the mic and speaking clearly. So I didn't have to do any real editing of it, honestly. I just kind of tweaked the volume and let it rock. So here we go.
You ever have one of those moments when you're experiencing something you've been working on for so long, or you've been planning for so long, and you can just take a second and pause and say, yes, this is it? Well, this is a video about one of those moments. This is a video, a culmination of hard work, perseverance, and a little luck along the way. This is Breaking Away, a Jeb Shoots original.
So I actually did tweak the loudness a little bit on it, and was just super stoked with how that came out. I didn't even write it down. I just tried to record it a bunch of times and then finally landed on that flow, and I thought it all worked out really, really well. So the edit, we'll just jump into the edit right now. Turn the volume down. So it opens up with this awesome shot of Bryce Vine. I thought it was super sick because it's got the cryo going off, and I put it all in slow motion to have that intensity. Because when the piece opens, it's having these kind of pulses in the sound, so I wanted the visuals to follow that pulse. So it goes that, it splashes the Jeb Shoots logo, and then it's this girl is calling and she's saying how she misses you, or I don't know who she's really talking to, but I wanted to just connect the visuals directly to the piece, so I actually shot this on my computer with my camera as I was editing just to see how it felt. And I kind of liked it. It was a total switch up. I don't think people were expecting these kind of clips in there, so make it unique, add your own style to it, and I really liked it. Faded it directly to another clip of Lil Baby with the cryo going off. The cryo clips have just so much more energy in them than just the clips of the artist, so I tried to use all the cryo clips that I shot throughout the edit. Faded it back to black with the Breakaway logo, and then it opens up with this piece of Bryce Vine running out on stage. And the run out just seemed like a perfect way, or a perfect visual to have going with the voiceover, because it's kind of this artist entry into the show, and it's your entry into the video, and it just felt really good together. And the clip's kind of raw. It's not perfect, but it's the colors are nice, the crowd is huge, so it just felt really good when the voiceover laid with it. And then another clip of Bryce Vine's guitarist Alex going. I thought this clip was just so sick with the lights. You can see the crowd in the background, some more energy there, just to add a little variety. Bryce Vine's running, and then I've used words for lyrics in the past. I wanted to use some words for the voiceover. So in the voiceover, I'm yes, this is it. So I took those words right onto the screen to connect them, to just add a little more, energy and spice as he's walking out, because the clip is just kind of standard as it's going, even though there's a lot of movement in it. Showed the emojis just to kind of switch it up again, back with Bryce Vine, and then when I say the title Breaking Away, I wanted to connect it kind of back to where I was recording the piece and just potentially showcase a little bit of where the edit's going down. So I actually filmed myself just saying that phrase after I recorded the cell phone clip, and decided to throw that in there as just another way to connect it. Then to fade everything together, I used a little bloom transition, super easy, nothing too crazy there. It's a built-in transition in Final Cut, so it's not that fancy. Bloomed it, and then it goes right into the lights. Now, what I thought was super cool about the bloom transition is that it basically highlighted all the lights on the phone last, so it ended up being actually kind of a cool transition with Bryce Vine walking out, and this is just a sick shot. At all of his shows, he does an Instagram clip of the crowd waving their phone lights, and it usually comes out super sick. So I got that one. It's one of my favorite clips I shot. And as he's walking, you'll see that a letterbox starts coming in on the screen. So really the reason why I used the letterbox was just try to make the whole piece seem a little more professional and cinematic. Honestly, it just seems like when you kind of scope it in, for whatever the reason is, I think the clips just have a more cinematic feel to them, even though I wouldn't by any means call myself an expert at cinematography. It just kind of gave it that feel, and I wanted it to have a little more professional feel to it. So the letterbox squeaks right in, and basically it's just this thing that I made in Photoshop that's just two black boxes on top of one another, and it's clear on the inside, so then I can basically decide by scaling that in or out how much the letterbox is going to be, and then I try to match it up with like a standard letterbox size that Final Cut would give me. So I match them, and then I take away the Final Cut one, and I just use this one that I made, and it's a file I have on all my hard drives. Or that picture file of the letterbox blocks is a file I have on all my hard drives. So then it goes to another shot of Alex playing the guitar, Lucky Dave, Bryce Vine's DJ, and trumpet player. He always does a trumpet solo. It's super, super hype. Playing, great clip. Bryce Vine with Kenny and Adam, who are some of the organizers and kind of like creators of the Breakaway Music Festival. This is Ikali playing, back to Bryce Vine, Emoji. And then I think this is Shallow. They played an awesome set in the rain in Nashville, night one, super sick. Then Juicy Gold, who's another artist that I got to shoot some for actually in Charlotte. Back to Alex, has this nice little kind of like out of focus transition back to Shallow. And then Gashi with high energy. Gashi had an awesome performance. And right here is when the beat's about to drop. So I started bringing in, these are all slow motion, kind of, vibey clips that are kind of just going with the flow of the music. And then it starts building right here. And it just is snapping back and forth between these few clips, and then it drops. So I'll play the drop for you guys really quickly, and then we'll jump into what it's all about. So the drop, there's a lot of energy, there's a lot going on there, so I'll do my best to break it down for you guys. So essentially what it is at the beginning is just stacking clips back to back. So I had this cool clip of Fisher with the lights and the cryo going, so I used that clip a few times. I'll zoom in on it and we can check it out. So it basically goes Shallow, Gashi, Fisher with the lights, Lucky Dave walking off into the smoke, Bryce Vine, back to that same clip of Fisher, Bryce Vine again, back to the same clip of Fisher, Bryce Vine, back to the same clip of Fisher. That clip is essentially stacked. You can see how many times it's stacked down here, but I overlaid the Bryce Vine on it just to switch it up because it was basically just like a da-da-da-da-da of the same clip, but then I changed it so where it's just like the same scene in those different shots, but the Bryce Vine thing helps break it up some. And then I went back to this shot of Bryce Vine in the cryo. It's honestly probably the best clip that I have from any of the shots or from the entire weekend. So I wanted to use it again. So I had it come out as the beat's dropping, rewinded it real quick so that back. And then when the beat drops, it goes crazy with the Gashi scene. So Gashi throwing a water bottle, then zoomed it in to just have it switch on the screen, and then zoomed it out with the cryo going up, actual speed, and then went X-ray mode on it. So I've seen, I think the account that I saw this from first was NC Suds, who's actually on tour with Griffin and is an insane editor actually, and he's kind of on the come up right now. Pretty undiscovered, so I'd definitely check him out if you haven't seen him yet. Goes X-ray mode, then does a zoom in transition to Fisher in X-ray mode, and then Fisher same scene out of X-ray mode just with the cryo, and then Gashi just right after his cryo went off, bumping with the crowd. This is I think this is, I can't remember what song this is, but this is Bryce Vine. Crowd is super hype, everyone's got their hands up, so he drops his, he drops the beat down, and then the transition is actually a roll down as well. So he comes down, the clip rolls down, and then it goes into this sweeping shot behind Bryce Vine, and it just goes normal, X-ray, normal, for real quick, X-ray, normal, X-ray. The X-ray is just kind of crazy. I've never used it before. I don't really know why I was inspired to use it so much on this one, but I kind of liked how it looked, and I wanted to do something different. Then we have a Kali with the cryo going off, and this one's kind of interesting because I went X-ray mode on his, brought the words in. These words are actually not the right words, but I just went with it. I think the real one is it. This says was it. And by the time that I actually kind of realized that, I'd already exported everything and uploaded it to Instagram, so it is what it is. Then I just did this stacking effect like I did in the Prime recap, where I essentially just taking the same scene and stacking it on it, but shrinking it down. This time I stacked it, put it in X-ray mode, stacked it again in normal mode, stacked it again in X-ray mode, and then it just comes right back out. So it essentially goes da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da. But it happens so quickly in the edit that you don't really know. It just, all you register is just kind of like flashing. So I wanted it to be a little more like intentional, but it still came out and it kept the energy through the piece, which is really what I was trying to do anyways. Then just bumping a few clips of Bryce Vine. Then I brought in the That One Blonde Kid Twitch effect. I've been trying to figure out like a really good way to use the effect, and I've used it a few times before, but for some reason it just came in so clean on this one and just added the perfect feel to the clip. So it comes across, and then what I did is I essentially took a scene of Bryce Vine's drummer and I just put it in, I layered it like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like 8 times, and then I just cropped each one, so it's essentially the same scene, but he's made out of like 7 little pieces of it, so it's almost like this, you know, broken up effect. It comes on so quickly that I don't even know you'd realize it unless you're seeing it, you know, in a still frame like this, but I still thought it was a cool effect. And then on those clips, I put the bad TV effect in Final Cut, so what that does is it just kind of vibrates it. Then he goes into another clip of Alex playing the guitar with the bad TV effect, Al, who's the drummer, bad TV, and then stacked a few clips here of just the crowd. So I wasn't able to get a bunch of shots in the crowd, but this is in the Charlotte location. I brought in the That One Blonde Kid Twitch effect here to the emojis. And then this is where the song goes, Is It Stupid That I Love You? And I just went wild with layering a bunch of the text, putting effects on them so they would move around. Then in the back I just had Bryce Vine getting hype, and then I did an X-ray of Alex playing the guitar. Just to keep it spicy, it's probably like one of my favorite parts of the whole piece is that right there. Then it goes back into just a zoomed in version of Lil Baby. A super easy way just to keep the video moving and keep it spiced up is just to zoom in a clip, cut it, zoom it out, and it just adds more energy to everything you're doing. That just has like some glitch effects on it just to kind of keep it spiced up. Then it goes to another clip of a Kali with the cryo going off, back to Lil Baby with cryo, Alex on stage getting hype, Fisher doing his little classic hand motion, then Alex again shredding it, a shot of the crowd. This is like the only group shot that I had of people during the festival, so I threw a little glitch effect on that to use that. Lil Baby, Alex, Akali again, Lil Baby, then Fisher with the cryo going off. It's not necessarily in focus, but it still does a good job of just showing what was going on. Alex again, killing it. The guy's absolutely a savage on the guitar. Then goes to Kali again. I used this scene a few times, but I just really loved like the silhouette that he had in the crowd. It had a good vibe. Then some girls dancing in the crowd for actually another guy that's shooting the scene, but I just like grabbed a clip of it. Then Kali again, Fisher. And then at the end of it, when the music's just slowing down, I wanted to just try to like showcase some of my favorite shots, some of the more cinematic ones, I guess, or just things I thought looked really good. So I just stacked a few here. This is Gashi with the crowd. This is Gashi again on stage. Bryce Vine dancing with the crowd. Shallow, you know, kind of with that out of focus guy in the foreground, but they're in focus in the background. I really liked that. Then Lil Baby on stage. This one, the lighting was better, so there's more detail on him. Then the clip of Bryce Vine walking, and then the Breakaway Music Festival stage. Lil Baby's performing, but this is the only one where you could see Breakaway Music Festival in it, so I wanted to finish off with that. And then just faded that to the jebshoots logo, and that's a wrap. So all in all, the piece is right over 2 minutes. Put it on a vertical frame to put it on IGTV. Exported it just like this to put it on YouTube. Unfortunately, it got blocked on YouTube, so the only way that you're really going to be able to see any type of like version of this is from this video, and I don't think I'm going to be able to put it at the end because they're going to block it. But I'll walk you guys through it. I got to show you what the drop was all about, so I'll probably put just like a little section of the drop at the end of the video, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. and I'll see y'all in the next episode of Inside the Cut. Peace!
Hey, I just wanted to say that I miss you, I guess. And I'm sorry.
You ever have one of those moments when you're experiencing something you've been working on for so long or you've been planning for so long, and you can just take a second and pause and say, yes, this is it? Well, this is a video about one of those moments. This is a video, a culmination of hard work, perseverance, and a little luck along the way. This is Breaking Away, a Jeb Shoots original.